Good morning. So I've moved from my recording little workshop in the house to my shed. Of course, this is where I spent many years fixing bikes, and I still fix a few bikes at the moment. But I've also done a bit of woodwork in here as well, so I've got a setup to do some woodwork as well. And one thing I've made is this. So I've made an Appalachian dulcimer. So this dulcimer is played on your lap. So if I just angle this down, you can just see. So it's played on your lap, and it's got one, then that one, and then two strings in unison, and together you get that kind of lovely open tuning. So it's quite good for folk music. There we are. So that's Appalachian Dulcimer, which I've made. And what happened? I bought one from Towman online for about 60 quid, and I thought, oh, that's nice. But I wonder if I could build one. So I set myself a challenge of building an Appalachian Dulcimer. So this is what I came up with. That's what I made. And so this next series of videos, I'd like to show you how I make an Appalachian Dulcimer. Like this one. So it's made of all solid wood. The top is spruce, the fingerboard is maple, the sides and the back are obechi, which is another hardwood, African hardwood I think it is. And that's what I've made it out of. I've made the body, made the fingerboard, put the frets in, and I bought some tuners to add to that end. So that's it. So what I want to do in the next series of videos is to show you how I would make one of these. Okay, so what I do now, I'll get myself set up in this little workshop and show you the first steps. And the first steps is going to be the kind of timber that I'm going to use to make one of these. Okay, just give me a tick. Okay, so the first thing is to think about what timber am I going to need to get this, start building this dulcimer. So for the top of the dulcimer, I'm going to use spruce. So what I've got here is 2 pieces of spruce. They're 915mm long. They're 100mm wide, and they're 3mm thick. So I bought it in that size, that they've already been made to that size. So these bits of spruce I'm going to stick together. So I'm going to butt them together like this, and these we're going to make the top of dulcimer. So I will be sticking those together. I'll show you how I get that done. And then for the back and the sides, I'm going to use, it's got obechi, which is a nice, very nice, quite similar to the spruce, just slightly different colour, slightly different kind of patterns. And for this obechi, what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to use it to, I'm going to butt them together again, and that's going to make the back of the dulcimer. So I'll show you how I do that. And then the other thing, I need the sides. So to get the sides, what I'm going to do is get another piece of this obechi, and I'm going to cut it exactly down the middle, and then use these to bend to make the sides. Okay, so that's the timber I'm going to use for the back, the sides, and the top. So it's all 3mm thick, and it's all solid wood, so I'm not using any plywood. So the reason I'm not using plywood, although it's cheaper, the plywood, because you've got wood plied together like that way, and then that way, and that way, it really stops the wood from resonating with when you've kind of put a note through it, if you like, and it kind of deadens that resonance. So when you've got solid wood, it just resonates really nicely, and it gives you a much better sound, much kind of a warmer, deeper sound than having plywood. So I'm not going to use plywood, even though it's cheaper. Now for the fingerboard, I'm going to use some maple. So maple, it's just a really nice wood to use. It's nice and hard. You can machine it well, and it's really good to use for the fingerboard. So I'm going to use maple for the fingerboard. So there we are. So that's my woods that I'm going to be using. So the first thing I need to do is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of my pieces of Appalcachian exactly in half, and then once I've got those two bits done, I'm going to make the sides of the dulcimer first. So the two sides, I'm going to bend them and glue them and get them all made up before I make the top and the bottom, which I'm then going to cut to fit the sides which I've made into the shape. So on the next little clip, what I'm going to do is show you how I would cut that first bit of Appalcachian into 2 equal pieces, and then after that it's a question of then starting to create the shape of dulcimer, to bend the sides, get that glued, and then after that moving on to the top and the bottom. Okay, so I'll just stop this one here. So this is the beginnings of my making a dulcimer at Appalachian Dulcimer. Okay, yay, still here. Okay, so now let's show you this is 100mm wide. So what I'm going to do now, and I've measured it quite carefully, it has been cut really nicely. So what I'm going to do is get my ruler and mark off 50mm at equidistant points just along the whole length, and then I'm going to join up all of those lines just to get myself a nice line exactly down the middle. So I'll just do that first of all. Okay, there we are. So hope you can see that. So I've got the line 50mm along. So I've divided this piece of Appalcachian into 2 strips. The next step is to cut this piece of Appalcachian into 2 strips, each 50mm wide. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, so to cut, I'm going to come down to give me hello. So to cut this, I've got my table saw going on. So it's actually a jigsaw, which is mounted on a special made plate, which is clamped to my bench. So when I get that jigsaw going, I've got a nice flat metal surface here, and then I'm going to just run my wood through this. Now I'm going to put a few safety precautions in place here, just mainly because of the dust and also the noise. So as I'm cutting this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little face mask on just so I'm not breathing in lots of sawdust. And the other thing I'm going to put some earmuffs on because it is noisy, and I like to protect my ears. So let's get this going. So I'm going to put my little mask on. It's actually a COVID mask, but it's just good for just not breathing in the sawdust. This is where I start to look a bit silly. Got my earmuffs on, and the next thing is I'm going to just get this all lined up, and I'm going to cut this piece of wood into 2. Okay, let's have a look. There we go. And there we are. So put them together. Got two nicely cut pieces of a Mecci. So these are going to be the two sides of the dulcimer. Okay, so that's the first section really of the video. So the woods, I've made my first cuts, and in the next little clip I'll show you how I prepare these pieces of wood. So I'm going to make sure they're completely identical and make sure they're completely flat and even before I start the process of bending them and gluing them onto some wooden end pieces to get the shape. So I'll stop the video now. There we are. I just come down here. Hey, that's where I am. So it's a good start. I've got those cut, and these are going to be bent next. Okay, thanks for watching.